27th of November. Afternoon, councillors. Councillor Kingy, could I ask if you could avail yourself to give us a blessing for the day, please? Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Kingy. Right, good afternoon, councillors, members of the public, staff. Item 1 on the agenda, apologies. We have any apologies, please? Councillor Jolins, and Councillor Truman? Councillor Truman. Could I have a mover for those apologies, please? Councillor Buddy, thank you. Councillor Rankin, all those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Item number 2, conflicts of interest to any of the items pertaining today. Do we have any conflicts of interest? No, that being the case, go to item number 3, confirmation of minutes, 3.1, ordinary council meeting on the 18th of October. Is there any points of clarification or any matters arising to those minutes? Right, that being the case, could I have a mover, please, for those? Thank you, Councillor Boddy, seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. 3.2, ordinary council meeting on the 30th of October. Do I have any points of clarification on those minutes? Councillor Park.
Oh, yes, Your Worship. I just think that it's great that on the meeting 2 weeks before that actually the national shakeout was practiced by the governance, considering that down at Waitahanui the earthquake centred in Taupo was felt.
Exactly. Thank you, Councillor Park. You have a points of clarification on those minutes? Yours? Sorry? Yeah. So we could adjust the tables for Councillor Boddy, be much appreciated. Thank you very much, Mr. Fox. All right, 4 point. So could I have a mover for those minutes, please? Moved by Councillor Kingy, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. 4.1, the ordinary ad hoc committee alcohol bylaw meeting on the 19th of November. Very successful committee, this one. Could I have any points of clarification on those minutes? I think some good sensible decisions were made there regarding that alcohol bylaw. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Williamson and seconded by Councillor Stewart. And just to acknowledge Councillor Stewart as the chair of that committee, and congratulations for accepting that chairmanship. Thank you very much, Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Excuse me. 5.1, contract street litter and recycling bin collection. 5.1, thank you. Mr. Brent Aiken. Nice to see you, Brent. We have your report here. Yes.
I would make the comment that this contract is the sort of the cornerstone of keeping our town nice and litter free. Our contractor has done a fantastic job in the past, has met all our KPIs, so we're happy to have them back and providing that service for us again.
Sure.
Yep.
Any questions? Councillor Park.
Yes, I'm just curious, Mr. Aiken. The tender prices ranged from like literally $500,000 to $1 million. Do you have any reasons behind that? Is it that the contractors have enough work so they're able to just ask what they're asking? It's not a tight market, or I just found that the spread was quite significant.
I think the incumbent contractor probably had more knowledge of the service delivery costs than other contractors out there. So obviously that would have given them a competitive advantage. They've passed on savings of having the big belly bins in place, and that's reflected in their tender price. I think we've got a very sharp price, and it's very close to the estimate. So we're happy with that too. Yeah.
Councillor Boddy.
Thank you for that. Just one question: is there any contingency written into this?
No.
Tender? Is there the likelihood of further monies being called on prior to the next?
There's no reason for that to happen. The works are scheduled in the contract rates, so okay. It's all included in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Brent, just the only question I have, and I follow these guys quite closely on my visits down to the city. They turn up in a plain van, all sorts of shapes and sizes of vehicles and that sort of thing. They're not in uniform or anything like that. I know there's no law against that or anything like that. It doesn't look like it's a council contract, you know what I mean?
Yep,
Is there any chance of perhaps getting them to put sign written or something like that?
we have been talking with the contractor about getting some sign writing on there.
Okay.
They've actually, they used to run, well, they do still run around with a small rear load compactor truck, but they found that actually having a van made them a little bit less conspicuous
Yes.
as they moved through and tidied up that refuse through there. So it was actually trying to provide a service seamlessly throughout the community. I will be talking to them about a bit of signage, but the van actually enables them to move around without
Sure. Yeah,
creating
just-
traffic issues.
Yeah, it just sort of looks, interesting. But
Yeah.
that's okay, as long as they're doing the job.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Councillor Park, did you have something to? No, Christine, sorry. Councillor Rankin, no? No, all good? All right, there's a thank you, Brent. Any other questions of Brent? Suggested resolution, recommendation there. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Boddy. All those in favour, please say aye. Greg?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. So, sorry about that, John. You look so excited, you see. So. Okay, item number. Thank you, Brent, and appreciate that. Good work. 5.2, valuation service provider. Tony. So we have Tony Wilkinson, our rates revenue manager. Thanks, Tony. And we're having a change of provider here. Okay. Okay, so they were landmass, right? Yep, sure. Okay. Was there much difference in the prices? Right. Yep. Yeah. Because last time we had a lot of queries out of Turingi, I think, wasn't it? Was it? Yeah. Great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So in 2016 they worked really hard with those people on the riverside of Turangi and got a better result and happier. They actually wrote to us and thanked us.
Right, great. Awesome. Councillor Harvey?
And also just to add to that, thanks for involving me in the process. I've also asked if I can, when it's time to actually start the process, if my involvement could be useful just on market opinions, etc. If it's, any help. Because that is part of the problem we had, didn't it? Is they're quite different to, the CVs are quite different to market value, and they change and they go up and down and so on. So I've offered my assistance if needed.
And we've accepted.
Councillor
Just on that point, would it be right for a councillor to be, how do I word it without sort of offending Rosie? Would it be? No, but yeah, but I try to be polite when I do.
I know.
Would it be fit and proper to have a councillor that's involved in real estate being part of the valuation process? If we wanted, or do we get someone outside just to sort of like to know where the law sits on something like that?
Oh,
in regards to protection for the councillors.
They'd just be talking to Rosie about what the market's doing, getting some background to the evaluations. They actually do it anyway. They've talked to Zane a lot down in Turangi in the past year, so they do talk to lots of people, local valuers, to get a lay of the land for a reval.
Thank you.
Cool. Right. Any other questions of Tony? When do we do this, too? Sorry.
Our next revaluation is as at 1 July 2019.
19.
But they're valuing throughout the year. You know, you get a new building, so they'll value that, or a new subdivision. They value all those, so they get on the rating roll for 1 July, and then we can rate from them from 1 July.
Okay. And it's an Australian-owned company?
Yes.
You don't have any difficulty with that?
So far, so good.
Okay, no problems. All right. Any other questions of Tony? Right, there's a suggested recommendation there. Could I have a mover, please? Thanks. Moved by Councillor Hickling, seconded by Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Right, 5.3, Health and Safety Report. Michelle. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Afternoon, Worship, councillors. I take it the report is read, and are there any comments or questions on it?
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Nice to see you. Any questions or queries of Michelle's report? If I can find it here. That should be all right.
Just one question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councillor Body.
Councillors can avail themselves of the flu injection or the tablets. Is there any thoughts of councillors being involved with the dermatology, mole mapping and things like that as part of our...
I'm sure we can incorporate that.
More than happy.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yep.
Right, thank you.
I'll send you an invite on how to...
We'll do that.
Yeah, it's web-based, so...
We can do this
yeah,
after the meeting.
we can do that.
We can check you, John. What was I going to say was that's been gone down really well, the staff, the mole map situation. So
And it is ongoing as more, as we move into summer and other employees want it, they're just opening up more days, so it will be ongoing, and we'll be continuing it next year, so it's not just a one-off, it will be a baseline, which is
previously you've had to travel to Tauranga for that.
Yeah.
So
And without breaching confidentiality, the humbling thing of that was I've had a couple of staff members thank me, but one in particular who came with a plaster over a part of his body and said thank you very much, I wouldn't have got it otherwise, and it's potentially saved his life, so it's time and money well spent.
Fantastic.
awesome. Councillor Williamson.
Thanks, Michelle. With the upgrade to the software options to Vault 3, how's the transitional training has been offered? How's that been going?
Good, we just started it last week, and the capability of Vault 3, like I say, is greater than what Vault 2 had. So moving forward next year, we'll be able to demonstrate our injury frequency rate, how it's trending, our lost time injuries. Currently under Vault 2, we weren't synced with our payroll, so the data was inaccurate. So next year we'll have some real data to give to you guys.
Cool. Thanks so much, Michelle. You still enjoying the job?
Love it, thank you.
Cool, that's great. All right, suggested
Right answer?
suggested recommendation there that we received the report. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Right, 5.4, Council's October performance report. Mr. CEO.
Thank you. Your worship. Your honour there. Sorry, I'm just having technical difficulties, but I'm getting there. So I'll start off with like normal, and then the team will go through, and I think we'll spend most of our time in Alan's part of the business today, and that there's some messaging around the finances that we wish to give or need to give. So I will save most of the discussion for that, because that's probably where the majority of our time should be spent in this regard. But what we have tried to do there is just highlight a couple of the key things out of the following report. I think that first paragraph is a key one for us in terms of the level of activity, particularly the building work that's happening in the district. Very encouraging, obviously, as we from an economic development perspective, as we look at the dollar value of those building consents increasing, and the amount of work that our team are doing. And I think the key stat there is the building inspections increasing by 53%, which is significant. The rest of the item there I will take as read, but happy to answer any questions. So I'd like most of the time to probably go to Alan.
Thanks, Gareth. Any questions of Gareth? Yeah, that's quite a staggering increase, the building consents from 123 to 184 million. and the building inspection. So that must put a lot of pressure on that particular team. But I doubt we'll hear from that. So, okay, thanks, Gareth. Any questions, Gareth? No. All right, Alan. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll start with the monthly Treasury Management Report. It's quite a challenging marketplace out there at the moment. There are opportunities that we've undertaken. As you can see, that we pre-funded 30 million of borrowing, which is due for repayment in March 2019, rather than wait till March 2019. We have pre-funded because one of these crazy things in the market where we can borrow through the local government funding agency and then put the money on term deposit and get a higher interest rate on term deposit than we borrowed the money for in the first place. So we look at making in excess of $100,000 more in interest than we're actually paying. Council Body and I have had some discussions on this, and we both just shake our heads, but that's the way the market is at different stages. So that's why we've got the pre-funding to cover the maturity in March 2019. We have, from a cash basis, exceeded our budget as far as investment returns are concerned. However, with the games being played between America and China affecting the markets at the moment, we have a unrealised loss position, quite significant in our equities, but that's moving by the day. For example, this morning the markets had quite a positive movement. The key thing is that we're sticking with our investment strategy of exiting the shares when they get to a required rate of return. Remember last meeting I said that when we buy we have a sale strategy, hence the cash returns are significantly higher than what the budgeted returns are at this stage.
Any trade me shares?
No Fletchers either. If we look at the financial statements, as I said last month, we have started the exercise this year of forecasting what our year-end position will be. We finished that exercise in time to include the numbers in this particular report. They aren't looking that positive. So as a management team, we are revisiting what the underlying reasons are for the forecast. As you can see, the full-year forecast is over $1 million less than what we were budgeting for it to be. The positive part of the exercise is that by identifying this early in the year, it gives us an opportunity to actually try and address it, rather than in the past we've waited till about March or so before we've actually come up with our first forecast for the year. So there is a lot of work happening in the background. We're favourable on the revenue side. Some of that's requiring additional resourcing. Some of it's related to natural events like the Aerosmith Street, and that will be coming to you retrospective unbudgeted expenditure. We've been out to the insurance market. We're finding that our insurance costs are about $300,000 more than we budgeted for. So there is a number of underlying things, but basically we are revisiting the forecast and drilling down to see what can be done, what can be changed from a phasing perspective to reduce that deficit between what we've budgeted and what we're forecasting.
Through the chair, can I just ask a question? Alan, aware of premiums around the country are changing in regards to climate change, in regards to a whole lot of different factors. Is this just a symptom of that?
Well, that's part of it. Then you get natural events, as I said, but other aspects are that to meet a lot of legislative requirements, we're finding, whether it's health and safety or things of this nature, that our internal resourcing, staffing, has had to increase more than we actually forecast it was going to. So there are a number of factors at play.
It's good to see it. We'll analyse it 6 months out. We've still got how long to go for the end of the financial year, so we've got time to
We've got 7 months to go.
7 months to go, yeah. So thank you for signalling that now, because it's truly appreciated, and well, the figures signal it, of course. Hey, it's going to be a tight 7 months coming up, so I think if everyone's got that mentality, we will achieve what we wanted to do. Councillor Boddy.
Thank you, Alan, for the explanation. Just to help me come to grips with it, we've borrowed over the last couple of months the 30 million, which is to be paid back in March 19. So all we're doing is swapping the money, so we're still in with that 30 million, the 144 debt.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just...
So, we are due to repay 30 million in March, which meant that we would have to borrow 30 million in March to keep our level of debt that was required. What we've done is borrowed it early because of the interest rates arbitrage we were able to achieve. So comes year end, we will still be at the 144, 142.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Okay. So it's a shame we couldn't borrow 300 million, and then we would have been $1 million better.
Councillor Williamson.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. No, just a general comment. One thing I do like about Alan here is his crew is that being proactive and not reactive, and I think and just a positive spin. Obviously, this is the way. The biggest risk is panicking, and I'm sure there's never going to be panic in your department. I think have complete confidence in the strategy, and obviously this is the nature of the economy. Finances is always up and down, so I just appreciate you giving us a heads up as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Alan. Thank you. Right, what have we got next? Brian Fox, which is democracy and planning. No. Oh, investment, investment, Alan's done all that. Yeah, democracy and planning, sorry.
So that's
Tina.
me. Just getting to it. You can see there the figures down in other expenses, so some of that's what Alan was talking about flowing through in terms of some additional resourcing. And in terms of the projects, all on track apart from the Turangi Reserve Management Plan, and you will understand the reasons for that. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Tina. Any questions of Tina? Okay, community services, Brian.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, councillors. Just some sound bites from me, and Alan's touched on a couple of points already, as has Michelle. So our insurance renewal program has been completed. It was a challenging renewal for our brokers, given the current market conditions. And as Alan has mentioned, there are significant premium increases in some areas. Probably, if I'm honest with you, that's probably going to continue next year as well, from what I'm reading. So we are currently now in discussion with our brokers options for the future in terms of our insurance program, such as what can we do about our risk profile as a council that may help us gain a better advantage in the marketplace in the group scheme that we belong to. So we're having those discussions now, so we're bringing those back to audit and risk going forward. In the civil defence space, pleased to announce that Mr Tahu and Mr Ridd have been approved by the Waikato CDM Joint Committee as local controllers. So we'll be working with them in terms of their formal training going forward, which I haven't told them how onerous that's going to be, but they've got a hint just now. So pleased to see they're on board in terms of our civil defence structures, and we are fully numbered up in terms of controllers now for the first time for some time. As you know, we had a power outage last week that placed us in a situation where we activated an EOC, an Emergency Operating Centre, and Tina ran that for us. So we use these events to test our systems in the civil defence structure, even though we don't declare necessarily. And there were some lessons for us in that space. I noticed that the CE in his opening report has mentioned this was the last event for this year. I do hope he's right. So his crystal ball hopefully is better than mine. So yeah, I hope he's right. One learning we took from that event was that we need to look at our own business continuity planning and also understand better those of our external lifeline partners. So we'll be in discussions in a constructive way in that space going forward. That's an issue not just for us locally, but quite the case regionally and nationally, to be quite honest. We also happened to have that particular week an exercise already planned at Waihuru, where we took our whole EOC team down to Waihuru, an overnight training exercise. The chair of the committee attended as well and fulfilled a role within that exercise. So I think that was useful learnings for us all. We gave our new controller, Doug Wilcox, do I say the reins? The reins, Tina, wouldn't it be? The reins for that particular exercise, and he did very well. So lots of learnings in that, and it also helps us maintain that relationship we have with Waihuru. And it is a very cost-effective place to run an event, put it that way.
Yeah. And can you tell us what the chairperson did?
She was full of governance role in terms of liaison with the worship.
Cool.
Yep. Yourself, you must have got a lot of calls that particular day, your worship.
Yeah.
You've already heard about the regulatory and building consent area and the workloads there.
Sorry, Brian, just to backtrack to the civil defence.
Sure.
Just a comment. Two people have now. They could not believe that one petrol provider or petrol diesel provider had any generators. So it was all very well having these generators, but no one could fill them up. So after 5 hours, the pack and save one runs out. So just if you don't mind taking it back.
I absolutely do not mind taking it back. I'm glad you've raised it, Your Worship. I think it does raise the question of business continuity planning within our district as a whole. We have a symposium program for next year in this whole resilience and recovery space, primarily at a local district level. So this is the perfect example of that situation. So thank you for raising it.
We meant to boom for Turangi, of course, because everyone went down there to fill up their diesel tankers. But anyway, thank you. Councillor Boddy?
Just on that point, and Mr Fox probably can't answer this, but when you're in business, you take that insurance out in case you have a hiccup in your business running. Are our retailers and shops like that, do they actually do that?
Look, honestly, you're right, I can't answer it. That's one of the discussions we'll be having at that symposium. We obviously do have it ourselves in terms of part of our insurance program for venues, etc. But in terms of some of those businesses, some will, and some may decide to live with the risk.
I think what a couple of comments there wasn't quite long enough, much as it was plenty long enough. I think it has to be a certain time, is it a day
2
or
days
something
trading.
for the
2
insurance
days
to
trading
kick in?
is normally the standard policy says 2 days.
Just through the chair, I think that ever since the Christchurch quakes, we've been told that households and businesses should be prepared for 3 days, because it's not if, it's when. And I think that as painful as it was on a Monday morning not to be able to get a coffee, that it was a really good example of how we do need to be self-reliant. And I was quite pleasantly surprised that a number of households are. They weren't phased at all, which was quite good. But the symposium next year will definitely be timely on business continuity planning.
Just on the question of generators, Your Worship, I might just add that Kevin was able to talk to his colleagues in Rotorua Council and access some generators on the day, so there's a bit of cooperation going on with our neighbours, which is always pleasing to see as well.
Oh, that's cool. Brian, sorry to interrupt, but back to the insurance thing, you mentioned, there's talk about premium rises and all that sort of thing. Is it time to start shopping around on our insurance, or can the locals now have a go at it? Or
so we are part of a group scheme within the BOP, Papenti Local Authority Shared Services. So that does go to the market. They generally go to, I think the last time it was 3 or 4 selected tenderers.
Yes.
Of significant national size. That's probably got another 18 months to go in terms of that contract from memory. So we're part of that process. That procurement's done competitively.
So the contract being fixed price, or they talk about raising the premiums now?
Oh, I think if we go to the market. Well, the BOPLAS goes to the market every year. So there's an annual renewal program every year for insurance.
Okay.
So premiums are set every year, fundamentally.
So that increase will be in when?
So we've got an increase currently in the market right now, which Alan's just talked about. So that's
Yep.
been reflected in today's figures that he's talked about. If we get another one next year, which I'm predicting we will, you'll have the same conversation with us next year.
Okay. Alan?
Yeah, through the chair, added to that, it just reinforces the insurance saving that we're getting each year by holding the TEL fund as a backdrop. It's rising by the year.
So effectively, just to remind you again, Councillor, I'm sure you will be aware of this, we self-insure below the ground. You've always accepted that level of risk for below ground assets.
Is that why Area Spiff wasn't covered in?
Anything below the ground, your worship, we're not covered.
Was it a little bit above the ground though?
Yeah,
No.
pretty much everything above the ground, your worship, including myself.
All right, sorry, carry on, Brian.
Just in the animal control area, just in the registration process there, we had some difficulties earlier in the year, as you are all well aware of. The urban registration is pretty much completed, and end of December is for the final of the rural. From an officer perspective, that issue seems to have settled, and I'm guessing because I'm not hearing from anyone here particularly that I'm guessing from your perspective it must have settled as well. I hope that's the case. So we are maintaining that promise to have a focus group with interested dog owners and non-dog owners before Christmas. And Councillor Hickling will be, as Chair of Fred, will be coming along to be part of that process. I'm very grateful for that. Really, I'll probably leave it there. Michelle's given you a very extensive health and safety report. We're still sort of working out what level of reporting to give you in this space. That's quite an extensive one. But you do have a strong assurance role in this area, so if it's too much or too little, just please let us know. I think it's a good report from Michelle, but if you need more or less, just let us know. As she mentioned, the Vault 3 technology upgrade will be able to provide more data for you next year. I'll probably leave it at that, your worship. That's it.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions of Brian? No? Good. Thank you very much, Brian. Water. Oh, community services, is it? Facilities, sorry.
Kia ora tātou. So Alan has touched on the majority of the front page around our financials. Probably the biggest point to note is that the phasing around DCs and some of those points are also impacting on what you see in front of you. In terms of projects, you'll see there's quite a good list of projects that are going on. The good thing is there's no red, and probably the bigger point to note is some considerable works around the AC bars and some of the venues are in there from the facilities team. We have just recently opened, or Mayor David opened, the Streetwise corner by the ambulance there. That was one of your intersection upgrades. Fraser and the facilities team are now moving on to the next one to keep that progress going. Obviously we're making good progress through those and getting toward the end with I think around 3 to 4 street corners to go. From a strategy and policy perspective, you do have Spa Park Reserve Management Plan, Motutere Recreation. In that space we are about to engage Linda Walters, who is an archaeologist that's going to assist us with the Māori Heritage Study as a part of that agreement with Ngāti Tirangita. Obviously the new year will see us pull the trigger in that space, but in the first instance we've been working on the relationship between Tirangita and their working party council and Mr. Tilton. That first meeting has been held, which is what he asked for when he came to meet with you. A few timing issues around availability of people from around the country, but they've had the first meeting and the intention is for the staff from the holiday park to actually attend some time with the whānau at Waitatoko Marae and make some connections there. There's already been introductions from the village Motutere Point community with those people, so those ones that use the jetty for swimming and the likes at least know who those families are now. So some good progress in that regard. The Tūrangi Playground renewals and upgrades continues to be, I'm sure our Tūrangi councillors are aware of some of the ongoing dilemma, but there's plenty going on in Tūrangi around the Mana Whakahono Ārohe, the Playground Reserves Management Plan. but equally just being able to work cohesively within those community groups. There's very much a push from the Turangi community to come together and have those open conversations, and that's something that I understand our councillors are driving very fiercely, and so that has been acknowledged in the Turangi Tukua conversations of wanting to be a part of that too. And that's probably me, Your Worship.
Any questions of Dylan? Councillor Body?
Thank you for that report. Something just of interest, I had a ratepayer ring me probably 10 days ago that made an interesting comment. Why is it that when we open something like a street corner or the spa park, aren't the general public invited?
Absolutely they are.
They are?
And
so we put a notice in the paper, do we, to say that such and such date?
Generally through press releases, depending on the situation.
Okay.
It is situation specific.
Okay. The other one then is to do with the cenotaph. When I was at Armistice Day, I was a little bit disturbed at the look, particularly of the red that had been chipping off. Because when that went down so many years ago, we were sort of almost promised it's going to last a lifetime, but it hasn't. Does it need a bit of titivating before Anzac Day?
So I can answer that. So it's actually the maintenance schedule of that piece has always been that there's an annual maintenance schedule. We do that just prior to Anzac Day, so that it looks its best for Anzac Day. Obviously, this one with Armistice being November, and we don't normally have that sort of celebration there, but it is performing as what was expected and as what the maintenance schedule talks about.
Councillor Park? Okay. Right. Thanks, Dylan. Oh, Councillor Hickling.
I'm not sure whether this is in the right place, but I went to the annual general meeting of Creative Arts in the youth hall at when there was supposed to be some air conditioning units available from the old building, and I made a remark that that building's still got real old lumbar heaters in there. Also, the chairs, I mean the hall's been up probably 20, 25 years. What's the replacement, or, because the hall's it's useful, but I think it's been left out on a limb a little bit. I just wondered if there's anything in the budgets to do anything to bring it up to a decent standard.
I can't answer that question. I'll find out for you and come back to councillors. What I do know is that the trust takes a particular ownership of that hall, and it's certainly, when council has tried to involve itself, it's been the trust has shied away.
But it is still a council facility.
It is a council asset, so that's why I say I will follow that up and come back to you.
There will be a renewal budget, but for what now, I don't know.
Yeah. And that's I just need to find out what's provided for and what year, and I'll bring that back to you.
It really needs an inspection, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Dylan. Kevin.
Kia ora. I'll take the papers as read, and I'll just comment particularly on the reds and the oranges for each of the projects. Starting with water, and just backing up what Alan started the meeting with, or this report. We're doing a lot more in the space of compliance in the water and the wastewater side as well, from Waikato Regional Council, and also through the drinking water assessors. That bar has been lifted in both of those areas, and we're spending a lot more operator time and reporting back on the requirements through those different acts as such. So the water there, you'll see the delivery side. We had some issues at Kinloch and Mangakino. Rest assured the Kinloch one is up in place now. We've replaced some sensors in that space, so that shouldn't happen again. And the Mangakino one is part of a larger project we're doing operationally, which is sorting out a whole lot of telemetry and communications between all of our remote sites and back into town into our systems. And we're probably about halfway through that. It's quite an extensive piece of work that we're working our way through. So hopefully, this time next year or the end of next year, we'll be in a much better place when it comes to compliance and actually knowing about where we have all of our issues and dealing with them appropriately. Sorry, excuse me. On the next page there, we've got the treatment plant in Taupo. We've highlighted orange because we think we're now thinking that we're going to be finishing that in July/August rather than by the end of June. That's the contract that we let last council meeting. So it's all on track. It's just probably a month or two going to be delayed. So that's the only reason for the orange there. A couple of reds on the next page, which is around Waitahanui and Bonchel Park. So Waitahanui first. The reservoir is pretty much, all the walls are up. The roof is going on this week. And then it's in a commissioning phase, so we're getting close to completion of that. And you remember this is the one that the subcontractor and the contractor had some issues there with voluntary administration. So we're quite glad that they've worked through that, and we certainly haven't seen anything other than a slight delay of any significant issues there. Bonchel Park, it's an aesthetic reason. There's no health issues out there at the moment, but we're not comfortable with the quality of water that's coming out of that bore, and so we're in the middle of a flushing regime. So we're flushing for a couple of days, let it settle, flush for a couple more days, and we've been told by the driller and by our advisors that within a couple of weeks that should sort it out, rather than going into other things. So we're given that the best chance of just flushing through those issues. So that's all I had on water, unless there's any other specific questions?
No, thank you. Carry on. Yeah.
Okay, so transportation, again, Poipi Road widening. So the construction will happen early-ish in the new year. And the seal extension that's there is just a reminder it's in Wireta Road, and that's the last part of it, so that'll be all sealed all the way through when that does get done. And then on the next page there we've got Hooker Falls footpath. So we're packaging the Hooker Falls and the Mapara Road up with a couple of other footpath areas into one larger contract, just to get some economies of scale. It tends to be the same contractors bidding for that work as well, so we want to give them a bit of consistency, and we think it makes sense for us to bundle them up as one. So we'll deliver all of those as a package as such. And the only other thing to mention there is the LED lights. They'll certainly be finished this financial year, so they're working their way through different areas at different times, and don't ask me to explain the thinking behind which streets they're doing first, because I can't figure it out, but the contractors are on top of that.
Well, it's the appropriate time, but Rosie might have a question.
So I had a question
Transport.
earlier.
Yep.
A couple actually. Firstly, the Norman Smith Street lights. Do we get the opportunity to actually see the design
So through the chair.
before it goes ahead?
Yeah, so through the chair, we have a workshop on the December the 11th, so in front of the next council meeting.
Right.
We have half an hour set aside to discuss the Norman Smith Street lights and where we've got to in a design and the process moving forward. But one thing is really about managing the expectations of what that will fix or it's trying to fix, and what it won't be fixing. So, yeah.
Okay. And the other thing was the new speed bylaws. When are they coming into force?
That's the 1st of December, and Lisa's just showed me before a wonderful picture showing all of the speed restrictions. There's a whole lot of communications going out in the near future around that.
Right.
So pretty much everything that we had around the district that went through that process is the 1st of December. The only thing not in that is down control gates, which is included when we finish the works for the traffic for the lights, which is the 1st of May next year.
On from that then, so the Napier Taupo Highway will be lower speed, 50?
I can't remember. It
was 50.
It is 50,
and
yeah.
What's about the Arrowsmith Ave intersection? Because that was going to, the priority was going to be changed.
So I'll have to get back to the transportation team, but I know they've done a bit of work on that, and it's about when we do that work in line with the 1st of December.
I think that's quite urgent. There's just so much going on there that it's unsafe.
Okay. Yep, Councillor Body.
Thank you for that. Just in regards to Norman Smith Street lights, I can't remember what the meeting was, but I think both Councillor Rank and Councillor Jolins mentioned the lights going to be needed. And I had comments from the people up where I live. Now that we've got that zipping in, you can get down there quite quickly because people coming down the hill are now obeying those signs. And the debate was, do we continue with the lights? I just can't remember what meeting it was. All of us must have been here. Was it Wednesday, was it?
Yeah.
I think it's something that we need to look at, because if we're going to spend $475, 475,000 that may not be needed at this time.
Kevin's quite clearly explained that on the 6th of December, we'll have
11th.
11th, sorry, yeah, that will have that opportunity then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 11th is really to run through the project,
Yeah.
and we can have a robust discussion at that about the lights and what they might achieve and what they may not achieve. Because certainly it's not going to fix problems on Spa Road and other problems around the place. So, but those discussions can be had at that stage.
Okay.
But there's a separate process to go through to remove something from the LTP, because this is a budget in the LTP.
Could I now just raise the question of your LED lights? I wrote to Council expressing my concern on information that I was supplied and looked into about the danger of the colour of the lights, and I won't bore you for too long. And I think when we were down at the Marae at Waitanui, you said you were looking at some of the information I'd supplied, or some of the contacts. I mean, I voted for those lights because we were going to save 90,000 or whatever it was, but it's very hard to get accurate assessments. When I went to the Minister of Health, not their job. When I went to Standards New Zealand, not their job. So most of my information being based from the American Medical Association. And then a conversation I had with a mechanic, an electrician from Turing at the recent football tournament, who said he was taking some of those LED lights out of houses, particularly from kitchens, because they're causing headaches. Now, I might be blowing this all out of proportion, but I'm just wondering if is there any real research or where we can go to just find out how work safe or safe for the health of the environment of these lights.
So through the chair, the officers have been making those same phone calls and getting the same responses as you did. But we are looking into it. The science is really coming out of the US at the moment. And there's a few cities there that are backpedaling on some of their previous decisions in that space. But certainly in New Zealand and our other, Australia and that, the LED lights that we have got are what everyone's continuing with. But it is something that we will continue to do some research, but it is pretty hard, and it is emerging science, and it's based predominantly out of the States.
Councillor Park. Oh, sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
just through the chair, from sitting on the Waikato Regional Transport Committee, the project is led by NZTA, and there are 2 different colours in the lights, and so they were going to produce further information. I just don't think that has come through yet.
On those lights, since the lights have been in where I am, I've now put security lights out on the front of my house because it's completely and utterly dark. But I rang the Palmerston North Regional City Council, District Council, and talked to your equivalent down there, and he made an interesting point to me. He said one of the things they found was, because the light glow's coming down, some of the lamp posts with the yellow lights, the lights now have to be moved closer together to get a bigger pool of light. So I don't know whether we've struck that here, but that was a comment that he made. So whether a post now, let's say it's 100 metres apart, maybe it has to be 80 metres apart, I don't know, but time will tell.
Yeah, so through the chair, that was part of the design criteria, and they looked at the spacing of those lights and the light lux levels down on the ground. So yeah.
Thank you, Kev.
Cool. Anything else? No. So wastewater, again, just concentrating on those that are Kinloch wastewater land disposal system. That one's orange. It's basically a risk that it won't be completed by this year, but it'll be well through. And that this is just the work that we're doing in the golf course in particular. All the other work will definitely be done. It's just working with the golf course to get that the irrigation in. And Turangi wastewater balance pond. Again, that's just one we're working through. The permutations of what we're going to be doing there, and again it's just a highlight saying we might be close to that end of the year. And then we've got the undertake work for Pukawa wastewater pump station. That should be completed now, and I think Down is leaving a message saying it's effectively 100% completed. So when this report was written it wasn't, but it is now. Waitanui wastewater connection to Taupo. There will be a paper coming to December 11 meeting around the disposal and the handover of the old treatment plant there.
Lovely.
Nothing else on that?
Any other questions of Kevin?
No. And I'll just take the solid waste and the stormwater as red because they're pretty much all green. So.
Cool. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Lovely.
So I'm going to sit down and stand up again. So you had a full report from our external agencies, which was really incredibly encouraging, I thought. And just in the airport, there's a joint workshop between the TAA and Council on the 5th of December to talk to you about where we are at the moment. Okay.
Any questions of John? No? All right. Thanks, John. That's it. Okay, thanks very much, everyone, and thank you, Gareth, for everything going forward. So, have a mover, please. That report be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Park. Seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against. Carried. Waikato Plan Leadership Group Joint Committee. Nick.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Councillors. This is hopefully going to be about as quick as John. It's very much a procedural item, so I'll take it as read.
Thank you very much. Moved by Moved by Councillor Boddy, seconded by Councillor Park.
Yep.
No further discussion. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
It's the quickest easy bit.
Right.
Come on, Hillary, do it for the team.
The
Not saying
pressure's
anything.
on you, Hillary. The pressure's on.
I don't have much to say either, I'm afraid.
5.6, adoption of the alcohol control bylaw. Hillary.
Yes, so I'll just take the item as read. I do have one tiny thing to add, and that's just that on the bylaw we'll just adjust the next review date to a 5-year review date rather than a 10-year review date, but that's the only thing that needs to change.
Ooh, a little bit long there, Hillary, a little bit long. And yeah, but anyway, Councillor Park, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just going to just throw a spanner in the works, and just by talking, that is. I'd just like to congratulate the committee on this. I think that they've done really well. I know that Taupo Community Patrol were really strong on the Otamahiki part and the alcohol ban, so I think you've done a great job and made really good decisions.
So I think that, yeah, to support Councillor Park there and the Chair, Madam Chair Stewart, that the main change here is the alcohol ban down at Otamahiki Stream.
Yes, that's the only change from the draft.
Commonly known as Spa Park, you know, part of it. So, so that hopefully the police are positive about controlling that scenario down there. So, reasonably positive anyway. But yeah, it's good to see that that special sacred place is now going to be protected by an alcohol ban. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Any other questions, Councillor Williamson?
No, I was just going to say we had some very good positive submissions from Patuiwi.
Yes.
In support of the
yeah.
Otamahiki.
Absolutely. The collaboration was outstanding. Yeah. Cool. Councillor Stewart, Madam Chair, would you like to say any words? Good one. Thank you. Councillor, moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against, carried. Thanks, Hillary. Right, 5.6. 5.7, sorry.
Your Worship, I've got nothing to add to those dates.
Okay. Any other queries on those dates or anything?
You just to clarify, the 31st dates, we're not coming
January.
in on New Year's Eve, it's January.
Yep.
Right.
Just testing you. It's got.
Yeah.
It has got December and January up the top.
Correct. Yeah.
That's great.
Well done, Tina. All right, another mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Williamson, seconded by Councillor Boddy. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. 5.8, members' reports. Any members got any reports that want to be tabled? Sorry. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Will.
You know, contingency went to China. Councillor Park, Councillor Boddy, Councillor Williamson and myself. And I'd just like to report that the hospitality was just awesome. Our hosts, particularly Jackie, looked after every minute of the day. And yeah, and night. I know that David and Rosie went to the first friendship conference. just overwhelming. We was one of 49 VIP city friendship relationships. For some reason, I don't know why, but we was one of 6 friendship cities that had the opportunity to present Taupo, which I found really exciting, a little bit daunting. There was, can't remember just how many delegates there was there, but as I say, there was 49 VIPs representing different countries. What else can we say? We met, we was hosted by certainly one businessman in Shaoxing, went to his personal residence and had lunch. We was on television, we was in the newspaper. Yeah. You know, impromptu television. All of a sudden, we was what's that? He was an Aussie.
No, just through the chair.
Bloke who's got his arms around you.
Oh yeah, just through the chair. That he was calling me Kiwi, so I was calling him Aussie, but he was actually the mayor of Toowoomba at Queensland. He was an absolutely lovely guy, and that photo is typically there because it has the office Kiwi in it, which travelled to us to Shaoxing. So, can I just also add that we had Deputy Principal Alistair Froggatt from Taupo College travel with us, and Mr. Ridd, thank you so much for all your support on that trip, and an agreement of friendship between Shaoxing Middle School and Taupo College was signed as well, and they've got some really exciting things coming up in the next 12 months. So the trip was well worth it, and one of those once in a lifetime opportunities, I think. And I think it's great that over half the councillors around this table have had the opportunity to go and experience the Friendship City relationships, and I would encourage the councillors that haven't been yet, if the opportunity comes up, to definitely do it. It is eye-opening, it makes you think outside the square, and it shows, I mean, we were sat at table number 2 at the VIP function. New Zealand is highly, highly regarded, and I was very proud.
Who was number 1?
Who was on one? It was a big, long table with a lot of the Chinese.
The security.
So, David, obviously I received quite a few gifts.
Yes.
Well, we all received quite a few gifts. I also received gifts on behalf of the council.
Right.
And I'd just like to make a presentation, because I think this is really, this was the, I think this is the scroll that Jackie presented us with. So that's the scroll. This is the photograph of the VIPs that was, and I'm right on the end there, somewhere. He told me to move in because I was too tall, I couldn't see the back guy, and he was standing on set.
Who was that, John?
These are just the VIPs. So the other councillors didn't get a chance to stand on the number 21 I was standing on.
21, yeah. That's a great photo. You keep that photo.
So this was presented to us by which is a beautiful vase, and there's a card in there which explains the history behind the way that the vase is made. So it's
Big stock
an old method of porcelain, the way that it's been made, porcelain on the bottom. Yeah. So
thanks very much. There's one in the new museum to put it on.
notice that's made it.
Just through the chair, can I also just say a big thank you to Councillor Hickling, who, I mean, it was a long way to go, and it was a very full-on trip, but we were very ably led by Barry, and he did this council proud.
Thank you, Barry, for going on my behalf too. Much appreciated, because it is quite a extensive travel, long haul travel, and you know, the long days. You don't go home. You don't go back to your hotel room at 5 o'clock at night. The day's only beginning, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and your representation in the karaoke bars is outstanding. They tell me.
Yeah.
But no.
That's another side of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Sometimes you don't see that.
But yes, so thank you on behalf of the council for going, because and to all the other councillors too, because you're all busy people at the time. But it is a huge experience.
Yeah, and I honestly think that councils really, they've got to either embrace the sister city relationships wherever they are, because you know, particularly in China, New Zealand is just, it's a standout, and they really want meaningful engagement. That's how I feel anyway.
Well, it's not
So
an
I think
easy.
we've really got to decide whether we are committed to it or we're not. Because otherwise it can get embarrassing.
Yeah, that's right. And just a small delegation that comes through here in Taupo, you know, 10 of them, we'll spend up to 15 or 20 grand.
Yes.
You know, 3 nights, 3 nights accommodation, food, meals, all that sort of, all that sort of thing with Wairaki or wherever they stay at the Hilton. It's, it's just like, they spend money too, so, there's a real tangible benefit as well. Yes. But for our kids, it was just a wonderful educational opportunity there that Alistair took up, and I think it's outstanding. So kids can Skype schools and all that sort of thing, because let's face it, Mandarin's going to be, when we were at school we learned French and Spanish and that sort of thing, and Latin, I learned. But those, our trading main, China's our main trading partner.
I just endorse. Oh, sorry. You could just endorse Anna's and your comments. The role that Barry performed was absolutely outstanding. Thank you. And also, I think at the conference there was 2 forums. There was one for the tourism educational economic advantages. The other one was to do with collaboration through context through like infrastructure. I went to the one with the it was about various countries presented on water treatment and all that sort of infrastructure. It was outstanding sort of forum. Massive advantages to sending, I think the jokes aside, sending staff to some of these countries to experience the knowledge that could be brought in to New Zealand or to even our local community. I do have one gripe with John Rid. He ran into a Sri Lankan man and introduced himself from New Zealand. Oh, Kane Williamson. So I got calls. I was Kane Williamson's uncle. But since then, I've had an email from the gentleman's son wanting me to create a cricket contract for him in New Zealand. So I'm in the process of I've replied and see what I can do. I think he overestimates my
Right.
Thank you.
Dylan. Oh, sorry, John.
I went on this trip because I'm a bit of a skeptic, and the only way to find out what happens on an overseas, don't use the word junket, is to actually go. And when I consider the cost to this council, I think it was about $2,000 for the 5 that went. In fact, it was fully funded by the Chinese. To me, it was quite exceptional. But it's the small things. We talked about having that meal with the gentleman who wanted to eat a goose out of an egg, baby goose out of an egg. That guy was worth hundreds of millions of dollars looking for economic investment in our area. The fact that we mentioned about the school tie-up, we've got more than one high school here, and the chance, I talked to a mayor from Ukraine, I've talked to a guy from Malawi, and it's rather interesting that you get that ability on a one-on-one basis. But other than the entertainment, which was never ending, the two people I'd like to really thank, firstly is John Ridd, who was our baggage boy. He everywhere he went, he had well, a bit more than a baggage boy. Yeah, well, he panicked because he was taking 2 cans of milk powder out of the country. He thought he might get arrested. The other one I've got to really have a tribute to is Barry Hickling, because he was an exceptional leader, and he had the ability, at one stage through the interpreter, you were handing a Maori war club, and they talked about doing Tai Chi, is it, down in the local domain, so he did a bit of Tai Chi to this guy. I mean, they were those things that they really enjoyed, the interaction with us Kiwis. And then the 4 Chinese, the 2 that went over and 2 that we met there, Jackie and the others were exceptional as well. So I'm very, very pleased the council to give me that opportunity.
Well, kia ora, everyone. I'm not here to prolong the conversation, but just wanted to echo the sentiments that Councillor Hickling raised around the opportunities coming. You'll be aware that I headed over as well, but I was there for the ending of the European Union Year of Tourism that the China government and the European Union had. Insignificant, except for New Zealand starts on December the 4th. So the Chinese New Zealand Year of Tourism is in 2019. There will be a function at Taupo in Wellington to begin that process in February, but that literally is a question of what is Council's intention around sister city relationships, and equally just working with China, because the numbers that the European Union Secretary was talking about in Xi'an was the millions of additional visitors that have gone as a result of the increased promotion between China and the European Union member states. So that's literally on our doorstep. It's a coup that New Zealand has got a year of tourism. It was only because of the free trade agreement with China that it was provided for. Even Australia hasn't had one of these yet. So now is the time, knock knock. But just to share that is a priority coming forward for the New Zealand government. MB are running that connection process, and there's a conference that Jess is attending in December in Wellington in preparation for those conversations with the Chinese equivalent.
Thanks, Dylan. Okay, very good. Well, thanks very much, everyone. So could I just have a mover for those reports be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. So here, against, carried. Right, that's the close of the business. We'd like to move into confidentiality. Yeah, moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Williamson. Thank you. Thanks, Robert. It's just confirming the minutes. Cheers. Are we off, Lisa?